Good morning and thank you for joining us. My name is Constable Adam Kimmer. I'm a Public Information Officer for the Hamilton Police Service. We're here this morning to provide an update on a significant development in an ongoing investigation. You will first hear from Superintendent Marty Schulenberg, followed by Detective Sergeant Daryl Reid. Following their remarks, we will open the floor to questions from the media. I now invite Superintendent Marty Schulenberg to take the podium.
Thank you, Adam. Good morning. As mentioned, my name is Marty Schulenberg. I'm a superintendent with the Hamilton Police Service Investigative Services Division. On behalf of the Hamilton Police Service, I want to acknowledge the deep impact this case has had on the family of Shalini Singh and our broader community. Our hearts remain with her loved ones as we continue our work to find answers. Since the initial report of Shalini's disappearance, our members have shown tireless dedication. This has been a complex, resource-intensive investigation and has demanded extraordinary coordination, planning, and effort across multiple teams and community partners. The search at the Glanbrook Landfill site, in particular, reflects the scale and complexity of the work. Identifying and systematically examining approximately 5,000 cubic meters of waste required an all-hands-on-deck approach. At this time, we are entering week 15 of the search. We extend our thanks to the many police units, forensics experts, and landfill staff who have supported this effort every step of the way. While the investigation is ongoing, we are here today to share a critical update that marks an important development in this case. I'd now like to invite Detective Sergeant Daryl Reid to provide further information.
Thank you, Superintendent. On Tuesday, December the 10th, 2024, Shalini Singh was reported to the Hamilton Police Service missing on behalf of her family. The last confirmed contact that we have with Shalini was at 7:10 p.m. on December the 4th. On December the 12th, this case was assigned to the Homicide Unit, based on emerging evidence and concern for her well-being. Surveillance footage from her building showed no indication of Shalini leaving on her own. As the investigation progressed, we began to consider the possibility that Shalini may have been disposed and removed from the building by way of the garbage disposal system. Working with staff at the Glanbrook Landfill site, investigators identified an area where waste had been deposited during the time period of interest. The target zone that we were searching consisted of approximately 5,000 cubic meters of waste. The search of that area began on Monday, February the 24th, and we were proceeding on schedule to finish by May 30th. I can now confirm that on Wednesday, May the 21st, we recovered partial human remains within that target site. We are now working closely with the Office of the Coroner, the Ontario Forensic Pathology Service, and the Centre for Forensic Sciences to examine those remains. At this time, we are awaiting DNA results to confirm the identity of the remains that we've located, and it could take several weeks before those confirmed results come to us. The Hamilton Police Service remains at the site and will continue to search for more human remains and for evidence for this investigation. The completion date for this search will be reassessed based on the findings as the search progresses. I have notified the family of Shalini Singh of this development, and they are currently being supported by our victim services. This time I'm willing to take a few questions from the media.
Is it fair to say that the remains are suspected to be Shalini? You're just waiting for confirmation? Would that be accurate?
The remains that we've located are within the target zone that we identified for this investigation, so I am hopeful and optimistic that we'll receive the DNA results that we're looking for. Unfortunately, we have to wait for a few weeks to get that confirmation, but I have no indication to suspect otherwise, but we just have to wait for those results.
Any updates on suspect, arrest, person of interest?
We'll wait when we get the confirmation back from the CFS. That'll progress our investigation to the next level. So I will not project what the next steps of the investigation would be. I do have to be open to the possibility of what those remains or who they may belong to. So in the weeks coming up into June, we'll make that decision moving forward.
Is her boyfriend still not cooperating, or her ex-boyfriend still not cooperating?
That is correct. He has not cooperated throughout this investigation.
Is he a suspect?
I will not disclose a person's classification, but when the time is appropriate, we can address that.
Are there any other suspects or persons of interest in the case that you're looking at?
Again, I'm not going to expose the investigation at this stage. I think it would be inappropriate for me to forecast that. And we traditionally don't identify suspects through our media releases. When charges are laid, that would be the appropriate time to identify people.
Sure, but I guess I'm asking if you believe that more than one person was involved in her death or the disposal of the body.
I have no information to suggest multiple people are involved.
Have police been able to get into her apartment or look inside the building?
Yes, in the early stages of this investigation, we wrote search warrants and we searched the residence that they cohabited with, and also searched 2 vehicles that belonged to them, and seized several items that we believe are relevant to the investigation.
It is true that you believe that she was killed in her apartment and then disposed?
That is our working theory, yes.
Is there any evidence you can disclose as to why you believe that? I know you mentioned surveillance video before also.
To a great extent, this building had a very extensive camera system in the building, and I've said before, it's not an exaggeration, we've viewed hundreds of hours of surveillance video, and we have video of Ms. Singh returning to her unit and never going back out of the building at that point.
Have you recovered a weapon?
No, we have not.
Can you talk about the extent, and you mentioned it briefly, the extent of this search and perhaps the toll this has had on the people searching the landfill as well as her family?
Yes, when we started this search, we did a media release that identified this was the first time the Hamilton Police have conducted a landfill search of this scale. It is a dangerous environment to work in. We have to consider the safety of our officers out there. We've had weather events that have slowed us at certain times. It did start in the winter months and has now gone into a rainy season. So there's been a few hurdles for us to go over logistically, but there's been a tremendous effort by our police officers to get out there on a daily basis, despite those hazards in the environment, and try to get answers for her family.
Can you talk at all about what was going on in Shalini's life at the time when she disappeared? Have there been any changes in relationships or anything like that?
I'm not going to discuss the specifics about their relationship. She was working. She was carrying on her normal duties, her normal life habits. She had regular contact with her family. That's what sparked the investigation in the first place, the change in that contact. She spoke to her parents on a daily or every other day, and she regularly attended her workplace. So fairly quickly when that stopped happening, the family brought us in to investigate.
So there was nothing to suggest that she was concerned for her safety?
I have no information to support that at this time.
Can you talk about her family and how they're doing with this latest discovery? Obviously, this has been horrific for them to have to wait and watch and stand by. Can you tell us how they're doing?
Yes, Shalini's parents and her extended family, they are a very supportive and loving family. They were immediately concerned, as expected, when she went missing, and their concern has done nothing but grow over the months that we've tried to locate her. This information that I provided to them last week was hard for them to hear, but it's also a first step in hopefully getting some answers for the family, and they have been very patient and anxious, just waiting to find out what happened to their loved one.
When can you expect a positive identification on the remains?
I can't say that with great accuracy, but we've been told a few weeks by the CFS, so hopefully sometime in the month of June.
If you get a positive identification on the remains, what will this do to your investigation moving forward as it relates to the cost of this?
So the identification of the remains is only kind of one component of that. The doctors in Toronto are also examining those remains to hopefully give us some answers to what happened to this individual. So until I have all of that results kind of brought back to me, it would be presumptive for me to kind of project what my next step would be or where I would go. I need to first confirm who we've located, and then hopefully the doctors can provide us some insight as well.
I guess the concern would be if you have possible suspects remaining in the jurisdiction. How do you handle that?
That is something that we have to, it's a risk management that we have to go through in our investigations. It's also about making sure that when we do something, we are justified in what we're doing and that it's appropriate at that time. So I won't get into the details of what police would do to kind of cover off that part, other than it's something that we evaluate all the time.
I know that no charges have been laid, but has there been any arrests of people released?
No, there has not.
Has the boyfriend been cautioned not to leave a certain area or anything like that?
No, we would have no legal justification to tell anyone that they are restricted to an area without any kind of court order to that. Okay.
Thank you very much, and that'll conclude our press conference for today.